Monday evening, everybody. David Paul with you in the KHOU 11 Weather Center on this Monday, August the 25th, 2025. August the 25th, 2017. This is what had made landfall a few hours earlier. Hurricane Harvey crossing the Gulf and then making landfall north of Corpus, basically near Rockport. And then the eye had moved inland at this point. The track would eventually slow down and almost come to a complete stop. Made a little curlicue. Took 3 days to do it, and then it finally ejected off to the north and east. But for the 3 days that it sat here, the 25th, the 26th, and the 27th, it was in a spot where Houston, southeast Texas, was on the dirty side of this circulation. So what you've got with these tropical systems, these broad counterclockwise circulation, and that just basically brought the Gulf in and dumped it on Houston. This was the heaviest rainfall that a major metropolitan United States city has ever taken in a 3-day period. Even greater than some of the rains at Honolulu, Hawaii. Absolutely smashed rainfall records. In the Houston area, we had between 15 and 35 inches officially, but at many of our unofficial gauges across the area, which are good gauges with Harris County Flood Control, we had a lot of totals from 40 to 43 to 45 to 47 inches of rain. In a normal year, if you average it out, the Houston area gets about 50 inches of rain in a year, and we're a wet city. And so in many places, we almost got a year's worth of rain in a 3-day period. The highest rain total near Beaumont, Needville, had a little more than 60 inches of rain come down over a 4-day period, and that is a record for rainfall in a major metropolitan area anywhere in the United States. So that's what it was 8 years ago. And it is interesting to note that, you know, a lot of Houstonians will say that we got hit by Hurricane Harvey. We didn't. Hurricane Harvey hit way down here. We never had a wind gust above 30 miles an hour. So we did not get the hurricane. What we got was the inland flooding rain. It was, as we call it in the office, we say it was rain with a name. It was Harvey, but it was the rains from Harvey, not the hurricane part of Harvey, that absolutely devastated us. So that was 8 years ago today. That was quite a night. This is the track that it took. Came in just north of Corpus, did a very slow curlicue, basically became stationary for a day, and then ejected like that off to the northeast. Now, some of you who were around here in '01 went through Tropical Storm Allison, which was a weak little tropical storm that came inland in June of 2001, I believe. 2000 to 2001, came up here, did a curlicue, and then came back and did a loop. Almost a very similar path to what Harvey did. And it flooded us. And at the time, Allison had put rain totals on our northeast side of Harris County at about 25 to 30 inches. And that was off the charts. Biggest rain we've ever had inland, that far inland in southeast Texas from a tropical system. And we're like, it'll never be as bad as Allison. And then a few years later, it was worse as Harvey came in. So Mother Nature never ceases to impress and try to one-up herself. So where are we now in this hurricane season? Relatively quiet. So we're here, we're in the middle of the ramp to the peak of season on September the 10th. Right in this slot, this peak area, we get 2/3 of all storms. If you look back at stats, happen now. So this is the time you expect to see active storms in the Atlantic Basin. The CSU, again, their seasonal forecast takes us to 16 named storms by the time the season's over. Normal is 14. And so far, we have had 6. Andrea Berry, Chantal Dexter, Aaron, which is the big dog right now, went to Cat 5, but missed everything, and Fernand, which is in the process of fizzling out. So 5 weak, piddly little tropical storms and 1 big hurricane in Aaron so far this season. If we're going to get to 16 named storms, we'll get all the way to Pablo. But the Atlantic better get busy, and looking at it right now, it is unbusy. Now, there's another plume of dust coming off the west coast of Africa. This will have a factor the next couple of days in suppressing storm development But I want you to watch what happens. That's going into Wednesday. As we go into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, into the weekend, look at how the dust really kind of clears out. And that is very typical of this time in the hurricane season. Early in the season, quite often the dust is much thicker. It has been much thicker. Now that we're getting into end of August, September, quite often dust will become thinner. It's another reason why storms get more active, more likely to develop this time of the year. That the warm water and the tropical waves that come off Africa are usually a little more vigorous. All that being said, right now we've got one tropical wave here. It's not even really being monitored for any type of development. I don't have a 20 or 30 or 40% chance on it. Right now it's got a 0% chance of developing. Models don't develop it. This is what's left of that little wave we were tracking out here over the weekend. It went from a 40% chance on Friday to 30 to 20 to 10 this morning to nothing today. So we don't see that developing. And that jibes with what the models were putting out last week, that we wouldn't see this one develop. Now, Fernand did develop, but this is a little storm. But there it is. Tight little circulation. You see the convection, winds sustained at 60, but it's out in the middle of nowhere as far as the Atlantic Ocean is concerned. The shipping lanes are being impacted, moving northeast at 14, and that path will continue. And off goes Fernand. Water temps get much cooler up here now, and that will fizzle it out well south of Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. Computer models. So, and you can see that's Fernand. See the little circle there, the isobar? That's the only spot where, and I'll do this live. I want to take off the icon so that you can see it. There we go. So that's Fernand right there, that little closed area. This closed area is a little area of low pressure tied to a cold front that's allowing chilly air to come into the northeast U.S. We'll look at that in a second. That's really weird to have it that cold this time of the year. But that's a non-tropical low. That is Fernand, the low pressure tropical storm. But as you look everywhere else, you don't see any of those closed lows. What you see are a lot of long, straight-lined isobars, which indicate we're not getting low pressure cutting off and forming. So what we're looking for, as I'll put this in motion, will be, areas like that are cutting off. And let's run this modeling without the icon on it so we can see it a little better. There is Fernand. And let's run this forward. Tuesday, you see Fernand, little dot. Tuesday, Wednesday, it opens up. See how it's opened up now? So that's Fernand becoming non-tropical. But what you also see are a whole lot of big, long, straight lines on the isobars, lines of equal pressure, nothing kinking off, making a wave and tightening into a tropical low. And that will continue Thursday, we go into Friday. Nothing. Going to Saturday, let's take it all the way out. Yeah, by Saturday evening, this is what it looks like, August 30th. Just long, straight lines. So the models say nothing new is going to develop out here, at least for the rest of this week. That's the bottom line on that. We'll continue to take it one day at a time. Things can change quickly this time of the year. That's where they are right now. This is ocean heat content, takes into account surface sea level temperature and how deep the warm water goes. What is fascinating about this is that this is Aaron's track. I left Aaron's track on there. This is the one that went Cat 5 right in here. And you can see what a Cat 5 does to the ocean heat content. It feeds on it. It just sucked all the energy right out of the ocean in its path. I just think that's just so amazing. It has left a scar in the ocean heat content as it pulled it out. Where we have not had a big hurricane is in the Western Carib. There's just a ton of ocean heat content, a lot of energy. If a storm were to get in here and the upper level winds were favorable, it would have a lot of fuel to feed off of. Gulf of Mexico, just kind of moderate. Nothing over the top as far as ocean heat content. I thought you might like to see what actual sea surface temperatures are. And we were looking at this in the weather office during the day today. So sea surface temperatures are warm. This is the time of year when we look for the main development region, which is, I'm going to box it off for you. This is where you look for storm development this time of year in the heart of hurricane season. So what are sea surface temperatures here? Well, just coming off the west coast of Africa, they are borderline warm enough to support tropical development. 79 degrees, that's warm enough, but really borderline. 81 near the Cape Verde Islands, 76 here, 79 here, and then it gets warm enough, low 80s out here in the western MDR, main development region. But sea surface temperatures, they're warm enough, but there's nothing over the top here as far as any really hot water out here. It's warm enough to support tropical development, but it's not as warm as it's been the past couple of seasons. So that may also have something to do with not seeing any development on the models the next week or so as we move into the statistical peak of hurricane season. In the Caribbean, plenty warm, 85, 82, 87 here at the Yucatan Channel, and then 87 Western Gulf, Northern Gulf 87. That's plenty warm to support any tropical activity, but right now, don't see anything developing there. There's also this upper level wind flow. So we're changing seasons. We're almost to September. By the calendar, we don't go into fall until around September 21st, 22nd. But meteorologists, we begin our fall season September 1st. Meteorological fall, September, October, November. So it's not unusual to begin to see troughs coming out in the upper levels for the eastern half of the country. It is unusual to see troughs this amplified in August. That is very unusual, but there it is. And that's allowing this chilly air to come into the northeast. But the other deal is when you start getting troughs like this, well, what do? They pick up any storms that would be approaching, they get pulled in that flow and off they go. And this basically acts like a defense, a deflection. It deflects storms back out to sea. That's why that path is so common in the fall with storms. Every now and then you'll get one that cuts on a really low latitude. It can get underneath it. That's something you always have to kind of keep an eye out for, but right now we don't see anything out there. If there were anything even north of about 15, 20 degrees north latitude, it would get pulled up by that trough. So for the moment, the East Coast is protected, and that pattern stays in place through Friday. Very troughy. So as far as the East Coast goes, we've got that going for us. I did also want to end by just showing you that trough is allowing chilly air to come down, unusually cold air for August. This morning we had lows in the 50s all the way down into Nashville, Tennessee. This is looking ahead to Wednesday morning. Houston, we won't get chilly air from this, but in Atlanta, they're forecasting a morning low of 55. For an August morning in Atlanta to be 55, that is just weird. Birmingham, 55 in the morning. Birmingham, Alabama in August, low of 55. Jackson, Mississippi, comfortable at 70, and then Memphis at 53. 49 in Nashville. Very strange. It happens like this sometimes. I can remember, I believe it was 2019. I think it was 2019, which was Imelda. Imelda was 2019. We had a front like this come through in August, and we actually got a little bit of the cooler air in here. Not so at the moment. Okay, so that's a complete look at the tropics, including how that trough's impacting the east coast of the U.S. We are looking at daily rain chances to return starting tomorrow. We're looking at perhaps a very wet start to the weekend. Saturday, what are your plans? We'll go over that forecast. That's our next live broadcast on KHOU 11 News at 10. We'll see you then.